children at every stage. Typically, I'm the kind of person who likes slides that are brief, to the point, and then expatiates on those slides. So that's the way it's going to go. The topic is understanding the dietary needs of children at every stage. Again, my name is Oluwajamilola, and my surname is pronounced A Halifo. What's the outline we're going to go through? We're going to be introducing, we'll be defining what diet is, and then the classification, different ages, because we're talking about nutritional needs, dietary needs of children at every stage. So we're going to break down these needs and what needs to be done. So we're going to be doing classification and different ages, and then perhaps some form of conclusion. Okay, so your diet is your bank account, and good food choices are good investments. So you need to think of your diet, the food you eat every day, in terms of a bank, like your bank account. What you withdraw from your bank account is a factor of what you have put into the bank account. So if someone tells you, can you send 1,000 naira to me? If you don't have up to 1,000 naira in your account, no matter how you try to transfer it or use your card, your ATM card, your debit card, or your debit card, or try to get it from a POS vendor. If you do not have up to 1,000 in your account, you are not going to be able to withdraw anything from it. And that's how your diet is. Your diet is very important. Good food choices are important. They are good investments. And very much like your bank account, we all keep money in the bank with the intention to withdraw it. Nobody keeps money in the bank with the aim of leaving it there for life. You keep it there with the intention to withdraw. So every time you eat, you are putting something in your bank account. So are you putting what is good, or you are putting what will drain that account? It's important to think of your diet like that. And then it is important to note that the desire to feed one's child or one's word. So sometimes you're not even dealing with your biological child. You may say, I'm not married, I don't have children. We're talking to a wide range of people, but you're an auntie, you're an uncle, there are some children that kept with you. It's an instinctive thing. Even little children like to have dolls, teddy bears that they will pretend to have picnics with and to feed them. It's an instinctive thing. So it takes an alteration in the nature of a human being not to feed their children well. So I believe very strongly that every parent, every guardian wants to be able to feed their word or their children appropriately. But that is not always the case, because there are still many children that have malnutrition. In defining terms, we're also going to define what malnutrition is really about. For the purpose of this talk, diet, nutrition may be used interchangeably. And then it's also important to note that in talking about nutrition and diet, a child has growth spurts. Because the purpose of childhood is to be able to grow and grow into adulthood. Children keep growing. And that's why if you meet any child, if you see any child, and you walk away or go somewhere for 2 years and you come back, that child is not going to be looking the same way the child was when you left. The child may be taller, may have gained a little more weight, should have gained more weight, but the child doesn't look the same. Okay, so definitions. Malnutrition is not on this list, but we're going to have to deal with it last. Diet. The diet is the kind of food that a person habitually eats. I don't need to define food. Everybody knows that food is anything that you can eat or consume and that is beneficial to the body, or that may be beneficial. Don't let us say it is beneficial, because there are some combinations of foods that are not beneficial, that may be beneficial to the body. What is nutrition? Nutrition is the process of providing or obtaining food necessary for health and growth. We talked about understanding dietary needs. When you say something is a need is an essential item that is required. So this is not a want. We're not talking of dietary wants. We're not talking of extras. We're talking of the essentials. What is essential in the diet of a child? So we're going to talk about adequate diet. From the word, adequate diet has two words in it. Adequate diet. When you say something is adequate, it's not too much, it's not too little, it's just right, spot on. Adequate diet means consuming a balanced diet that provides all necessary nutrients in the right proportion to support health and well being. It is important that the goal of this diet is to support health and well being. When I was growing up and I was in primary school, it was defined as balanced diet. But now it's not just balancing it like it's on a scale, it's to ensure that that diet is adequate. This definition table will not be complete if we do not talk about malnutrition. What does malnutrition mean? It's a fusion of mal and nutrition. Inadequate nutrition. That's what malnutrition means. Malnutrition does not necessarily mean undernutrition. It can be undernutrition and it can also be overnutrition. Okay? And it's important to know that a person who is underweight may be said to be suffering from malnutrition. But a person who's obese and is overweight too may be said to be suffering from malnutrition. So it's important to note it's essential to ensure that you're getting the right thing, not too much, not too little. It's almost impossible to talk about nutrition and diet and adequate nutrition without talking about the classes of food, because we are all different people. We're all exposed to different kinds of food. We have different food preferences. So it's not going to be practical to start talking about types of food exactly. It's easier and maybe more convenient to talk about food in terms of classes of food. For the point of simplicity, let's just say we have six classes of food. The first class of food is what is called carbohydrates. So, carbohydrate foods are foods that help you to form the building blocks of energy. They provide energy basically, and they form a large proportion of the types of food that we eat. The second class of so examples of carbohydrate foods, we have yam, rice, um if you're making swallow, eba is carbohydrates, amala is carbohydrates. So we yam, rice, we said that a lot of the staples we have around bread, but there's a little mix. Most foods that we even call carbohydrates are not 100% carbohydrates. But since they are majorly carbohydrates, let us classify them as carbohydrates. Second class of food is protein. Protein helps to form bulks of the amino acids and help to build body cells. For a growing child, an adequate supply of protein is essential. Next to proteins, we have fats and oil, we have vitamins, we have minerals, and then we have water. Water is an essential part of the diet. And the reality is that there is no food composition you can make that has 0% water in it. Without water, we cannot function optimally. As a matter of fact, research has proven that man can live for 90 days without food. I did not say man will do well without the food, but you can actually do 3 months without eating and you're not going to die. But nobody can go for 30 days without a drop of water. It's not compatible with life. So water is very important, even though it's not really considered. So we're going to go into the classification of food and what is required for each age and each stage, and what is helpful to ensure that each category gets adequate diets. The first class we're going to start with is from the very beginning. And what's the beginning? The beginning is when a person is born. So that is at birth. So the first class we're going to be talking about is from birth to 6 months. The best form of nutrition at this stage is breast milk. Breast milk is the gold standard. So let's assume and say breast milk is gold. If breast milk is gold, all the breast milk substitutes in the market in their best form, I will describe them as stone, not silver, not diamonds, not bronze, stone. So no matter how you shape and reform the stone, no matter how beautiful the stone looks, it is still stone. The carbohydrate content of breast milk substitute and the carbohydrate content of breast milk, it cannot even measure up. Breast milk has the right blend of carbohydrates, protein, fat and oil, minerals, and water in the right proportion to meet the needs of the neonate. And in this context, the baby. Because it's not just about the first 28 days, but even up till 6 months. Breast milk is a billion times better than any baby food, no matter what the name is. The whey casein ratio in breast milk, no baby food as of today has been able to come close to 50% of meeting up to breast milk standard. Because if they try to produce a milk in that exam form, it's not going to be a viable product. Vis-a-vis all the other things they need to put in. You hear of different baby foods and they'll say, we have prebiotics. Another group will say, we have probiotics. Let me bust your bubble. Breast milk has both prebiotics and probiotics. So why are you buying a baby food because you feel it has prebiotics? Your breast milk has more than enough. One of the reasons I'm laying emphasis on this is this. Breast milk and breastfeeding will not be optimal except a person prepares their minds even before they get married and get pregnant that I'm going to breastfeed. It is the best gift any mother can give her child, that I will breastfeed my child exclusively for 6 months and then up until 2 years and counting. The antibodies that are found in breast milk, no breast milk substitute has it. So breast milk is the best kind of milk for a baby from birth to 6 months of life. What are the benefits of breast milk? It seems like this person is just speaking against breast milk substitutes. This person is just, I'm not just speaking against it. You can read it up, check it up with an open mind. Thank God, I cannot say I'm selling breast milk. It is the mother that produces the breast milk. So it's not as if I'm funding a particular company. Why is it that people don't breastfeed? Why don't people breastfeed? Because they feel it's challenging, they feel it's impossible. This is what we need to know about breast milk and breastfeeding. It follows the law of economics of demand and supply. Let's paint a picture. If you have a shop in a market and you sell, even if it's Gary, yeah, you sell Gary, you don't sell clothing, you don't sell shoes. But every day for the last 3 months, 10 people have come to your shop minimum to ask if you sell red shoes. Do you know that after 6 months of people coming every day to ask 10, Mama, do you have red shoes? Auntie, do you have red shoes? Uncle, do you have red shoes? Sir, do you have red shoes? You will be tempted to go into the shoe business. As a matter of fact, if you are wise, you will create a corner in your shop and start selling shoes and ensure that you have those red shoes because that is what the market is demanding for. What does it take for any business to be successful? It's not product though. As a matter of fact, it's not leadership per se, it is customers. If a business or a market has customers, it will do well by and large. It may not be that, okay, they are mismanaging funds, there's leakage somewhere. But no matter how well managed the thing is, if there's no customer, there's no business, there's no market. And that's how breast milk functions. Preparation for breastfeeding starts, like I said, before pregnancy, but very important in pregnancy. The woman needs to assess her nipple. Is the nipple flat? Is the size of the nipple appropriate for breastfeeding? If it's not flat, she needs to see her O&G consultation and consultant, and then begin to decide what will be done to help. The baby is born, but even weeks before the baby is born, from about 37 to 38 weeks, the woman can start trying to express breast milk. She should not try too early because it can trigger contraction. 37, 38 weeks, she can start trying to express. Yeah. The more a woman puts her baby to breast or tries to express after delivery, the more the brain is told that, well, we want breast milk now. The breast will keep telling the brain, we want breast milk, produce breast milk. The brain will keep releasing hormones that cause breast milk production, and breast milk lets down. Sometimes I meet mothers and they say the breast was empty. That's the goal. How do you tell your breast, or how do you make a demand on the breast to produce breast milk? By demand. The demand is gotten by putting the baby to breast. And the baby is sleeping, express. If a woman will consistently every 3 hours put her baby to breast or express, after a while, the breast milk will be so much that it will be a burden. She will almost be looking for a breast milk factory and say, please, if I can even donate this milk to someone, I will have peace and quiet. So whether it's empty or not, it's something that should just be done. Keep putting that baby to breast every 3 hours. Keep putting that baby to breast. You'll find out that in 48 to 72 hours, it will seem like there's a rushing mighty stream that the dam has broken. And in the same way, if a woman feels like, I've breastfed my baby for up to 2 years, WHO says I'm counting, I've done 2 years, 3 months, 2 years, 6 months, I'm not breastfeeding again. She doesn't just say, oh yeah, brain, stop producing breast milk. It does not respond like that. What she does, she wears a firm bra and then she stops putting the baby to breast. The first few hours of doing that, the first 24 hours, her breast will become hard, almost like stone. If she now says, oh, this breast is hard, it's paining me, and she starts to express the milk out, that's like still creating a demand. The body will still keep producing breast milk. But if she wears a firm bra, uses paracetamol, braces up and says, nothing is coming out of this breast except what wants to trickle out, the breast will tell the brain and say, I don't think this milk is needed though. It will start reducing production until it dries up completely. If a woman gives birth to a baby and she still keeps making a demand on those breasts, she can keep producing breast milk for up to 10 years. The body does not know that one person is winning one person. All the body knows is you made a demand, I give you supply. You make a demand, I give you supply. You stop the demand, I start to reduce the supply. Do you stop the demand completely, the supply dries off. That's why if a woman has ever lactated before and she makes a demand on her breast, whether she's pregnant or not, she'll produce milk. So it's important to know that there's a technique to it. For a woman that's just giving birth, she's not waiting for there to be breast milk to breastfeed. She's breastfeeding regardless. Let's say this thing is not grammatically correct, but we say even though it's empty, put that baby to breast. What's the benefit of breast milk to the baby? We're going to break it down. To the baby, benefit of breast milk to the baby, it has all the right nutrients in the right amount, at the right temperature, at the right time. And then the baby does not feel abandoned and alone. The baby is able to bond with the mother. All mothers want to bond with their babies. All. I've not met one mother who doesn't want to bond with her baby, irrespective of what challenges are present. Also, for the mother, it helps her to bond with her baby and also gives her a feeling of being capable, that she can do something worthwhile for her child, knowing fully well that that's the best gift she can give that child, because the combination of nutrients is going to allow that baby's brain grow maximally. At birth, a child's brain is not fully developed. Full maturation happens in the first 1,000 days, and those first 1,000 days are from pregnancy, delivery. As it were, you cannot say a child's brain is developed to a great extent until that child is 1 year old. Up until 1 year old, neurons are still being formed. The problem is what you really need for myelination. What is myelination? Myelination is like a sheet that covers the neurons and helps them to pass synapses and signals very quickly. So it helps, that's what determines if a person is intelligent or not. The essential things that help that are present abundantly in breast milk. So it's very important to breastfeed. Then the advantage to the father, it will help him minimize his expenditure. He will not keep buying breast milk substitutes every time. One, because it reduces the rate of infection to the mother. You can't say the cup was infected, bottle was infected, this was infected. It's coming from the mother's breast now. There's nothing infected here. The risk of going to the hospital every time is minimal. To the family, because they are not going up and down to the hospital, extra expenditure. They have more money to spend as a family to keep and to use for other projects. We all know that money is about opportunity cost. If I use money to buy a bottle of Coke, there was something else I could have used that money to do. And so it means that there is more that can be saved in that period. And then to the community and the country at large, the benefit of breast milk is that we are going to have a generation of people who are highly intelligent, highly skilled. Some people are not really dull, they were not born dull, but there's non-myelinations of the neurons in their brain. Interestingly, as an adult, nothing can be done. So breast milk is very important, and then it helps to reduce wastage and waste products. For the community, if you keep buying breast milk substitutes, we have to keep dealing with the waste of discarding the empty things. But where is the empty tin of breast milk? There's no empty tin. There's nothing to throw away. There's no factory that is contributing to pollution. So breast milk is highly beneficial, and no other breast milk substitute gives the assurance of healthy babies without any complication, without the risk of infection or other things. Let's not stay here. Let's move on. What are the components of breast milk? It contains water, carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins, A, D, E, K. Those are the fat-soluble vitamins. Breast milk also contains human milk oligosaccharides and nucleotides that play a role in sleep regulation. So it means if a baby is adequately breastfed, the baby is going to be able to sleep better. Not just because of the nucleotides alone, but because breast milk is easily digestible. The baby will not have as much colic as a baby that is not well breastfed, that is not breastfed exclusively. So yes, we know that babies can have colic, but breast milk has a way, because the food is easily digestible, it's easier for them not to have colic. So let's move on. From 6 months to 1 year, this is another tricky one, very tricky one. A lot of women who are even able to breastfeed exclusively, they say, my baby is 6 months now, where to start weaning. What does weaning diet mean? Weaning diet means a diet that is a transition from breast milk to family made meals. You ask many mothers, their children are above 6 months, what's your child eating? My child is eating, they start to name branded products. I gave my children, I'm sure of one, branded products. I am not against branded products, but I do not think it's adequate for a child to have only branded products. Why? The goal of winning is for the child to be able to transition to available family meals. So, what are the needs of this child that are changing? A child that is 6 months and above, up to 1 year, the category we're talking about, does this child still need breast milk? The answer is yes. Capital yes. This child still needs breast milk. So you still need to keep breastfeeding, but you need to add other things. But this child has increased iron needs, increased caloric needs, that breast milk alone is no longer sufficient. If a woman beyond 6 months continues doing exclusive breastfeeding, that child will be malnourished. So what do you need to do? Why is this situation challenging? The child has been taking liquid diet. That's breast milk now, liquid diet. You don't want to just bring rice and give the child. Rice is solid diet, and you say the baby is not taking it. What do you think? The baby will not take it now. It doesn't work like that. A baby has been taking liquid diet from birth up until 6 months. What do you do? You may introduce cereal if you like. I'm not against cereal, whatever brand of cereal it is. And that's why I've tried not to call any brand name. But you must integrate homemade meals. But what do you need to do? If this child has been taking liquid diet before, you do not just jump to solid diet. So whatever you are eating at home, try to liquefy it. Example, you just made rice for the family and you have an infant that you're trying to win. Remove the rice you want to cook for your family and then leave like 2 spoons, so very little. These 2 spoons of rice, you leave it on fire, let it boil a little more so that it is very soft. Mash the rice with a spoon and add milk. The milk you may add may be age appropriate milk, may even be breast milk. You may decide, so that's one thing you can do. So if you can imagine what I have described, the volume of these 2 spoons is going to be very small. So it's just like giving this child a taste, but you are adding milk. If you are adding age appropriate milk, you will first of all, usually that age appropriate milk is a scoop to 30 mils of water. Make the milk liquid and add it to that your rice concoction so that the thing is liquid or semi-liquid, not just puddle. A 6-month-old cannot eat puddled food. It has to be liquid or semi-liquid. If not, the baby will not be able to eat it. And then you say he doesn't like it. And from what I've described, it's going to be very little. You could take part of a fruit, very little apples, and blend it and add it. You could even blend it with some milk, age appropriate milk or breast milk. It's in liquid. So as you are starting it, you are just trying to give the baby a feel of other taste. So you get a plate and a spoon, and then you feed the baby with that. So you're at home, you're eating boiled yam and sauce, peppered sauce, fish sauce for breakfast. Remove the yam when the yam is done of everybody. Leave very little portion of the yam and boil it a little more. Bring it out into a plate and mash it for the baby and add milk, age appropriate milk or breast milk. That a baby is doing well with winning diet does not mean that we stop breastfeeding. Yes, people make corn, people make guinea corn. Yes, that's absolutely fine. But they add soya beans. There's a way to prepare that soya. If the soya is one, you have to soak your soya for a minimum of 3 days so that it can remove some agents in it. There's something in soya that may cause goiter later in life if the soya is not well processed. So it's important that the soya is soaked for a few days. Whether you're making the soya powder yourself, you need to ask questions. How was this soya prepared? So some people say soak it, some people say roast it before you fry it, but either way, ensure that it is, well, I will say soak it, because soak it up so that that nutrients that may cause that is if that's the way you want to go, that's okay. But like I said, it is important that the baby does not stay in the level of I'm taking pap and milk and soya and crayfish and granules. It's not the goal of winning. That can help because that's semi-solid. But the ultimate goal of winning is that you are able to transition eventually to homemade meals. Because if you stay in the level of pap and you do not introduce this child to homemade meals at all, you're going to create a picky eater, you're going to create a malnourished child. And in winning diet, it's also important to ensure that for this child, you are adding things gradually. For example, you don't take pear and take mango and take apple and blend everything and put milk. No, ma. No, sir. What you do is you want to give pear, take pear, add a little milk, mash it together. It's in semi-solid form. Get the baby with a cup and spoon. So the baby takes 1 or 2 spoons of that. So you're not doing a whole pear. If you do a whole pear, you feel frustrated. You feel like you're wasting your money and your time. You just do very little, 1 or 2 scoops of the pear. The mango, why would you use a whole mango? That's too much for a child that you're just trying to introduce to it. So if you're doing mango, do only mango. If you're doing apples, you can't even use up to quarter of an apple. That is too much now. Do just a little apple so that you are just giving the child, and that the child refuses the first taste of any winning diet does not mean the child doesn't like it. Introduce it again. For those that have lived in different countries or in different parts of Nigeria, when you go to a different part of the country, many times you don't like the food because you are not used to it, but you are able to eat it after a while. So you keep introducing, and as you feel the baby likes it, you may start to um, add them together. So let's move to 1 to 3 years. I think I'm going to try to run faster because I'm seeing that this call will end in 15 minutes. 1 to 3 years. At this point, this child is a toddler, meaning that between 1 to 3 years, you expect that this child is able to walk around. Some children are still crawling, but is able to walk around. What does this child require? It still requires all the classes of food. You still need to give milk. Some children at this stage are still going to be breastfeeding, which is okay. Some children, but whatever you do, if you're not breastfeeding anymore between 1 to 3 years, please give age appropriate meals. What do you need to give? You need to give minimum. What does minimum mean? The very least, on the worst day ever, you are giving 3 meals and 2 healthy snacks. But this is where the thing is. It is challenging to give 3 full meals to a child between 1 to 3 years. Usually they eat very little, so you have to do it frequently. So I'm going to say minimum 3 meals and 2 healthy snacks. So I'm going to say try to give 5 to 6 meals, because the child will be eating little bit, and the little bit, let them be different things. And this is the time to do fruits and vegetables. But from 1 to 3 years, you're not giving a child a mango, or I'll say, well, you cut the mango into small bits, remove the skin of the mango, cut it into small bits. You should not even give up to half a mango. Cut into small bits, let the child be able to pick it like finger foods. If you are going to give fried yam at this point, put a little water in the frying pan with the oil before you start frying the yam, so that the yam is still soft and edible. Don't do anything too spicy. By spicy, I mean pepper. Not that the child puts the thing in the mouth and is almost choking. Kudos to my Yoruba family. Thank God you know my name is Oluwadamilola. Yoruba people will say, not at this age range. Don't give too much pepper that the child cannot cope with. If you are eating and the child comes to you and wants to have some pepper, you can put a little using your finger, put it on the child's tongue. That's fine. And one other meal that is really good for women is ewedu. You sprinkle some Titus fish in ewedu with very soft amala, not the consistency you make in your house. The consistency after removing everybody's amala, you now put a little more water and boil a bit so that the amala is so soft. It also works for children 1 to 3 years. So some of these meals allow them to feed themselves. Some of these meals feed them. For the finger foods, allow them to feed themselves. They will pour some away, they will play with some. But that is okay. That's all part of growing up. And make food times fun times. I'm not the best person to feed a child between 1 to 3. And I thank God that my husband is perfect for the role. All my children, when they were between 1 to 3, was the major person feeding them. I used to once in a while, but it just wasn't working. But he will sing, he will dance, he will play around with food. And I noticed that my children were more willing, more interested in eating from him because he made meal times fun for them. So from 1 to 3 years is important. Like I said, all the classes of food, the carbohydrates, the protein, the fats and oil, the minerals, the vitamins, and water. Water. Very, very important. Okay, so the next age range we're going to be talking about, the next age classification is 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years, you should still give all the classes of food, but you need to start food education, age appropriate food education. So you need to be able to tell the child, you need to eat your yam, you need to eat your egg, you need to eat your beans, you need to eat your rice. I'll still say if you can achieve 4 meals a day and 3 snacks, it'll be very good, because at this age, Many children, some may be able to eat appropriate amounts, but many may not. So you may need to do frequent small meals. But this is the age of colors. So because colors are fascinating, I'm sure that a 3 to 5 year old is more interested in eating blue colored spaghetti than the white one. Yes, the child is fascinated, and then tomorrow the spaghetti is red, and the next tomorrow the spaghetti is orange, is lilac, is green, is pop, whatever. So you need to begin to consider colors because you're not just feeding their stomachs, it needs to appeal to them. Finger food still work here. Supportive. Let the child know that it's important and that they have to eat their food. They like to play a lot at this stage. But this is where you're going to say closer to 5 years old. If you do not finish your food, nobody's leaving the dining table. Nobody's going to play. They are more likely to just want to eat it so that they can be off your neck. But you need to also pay attention. Some children will eat the food and not eat the protein. If you need to cut the protein into small bits, you may just need to do that. Next age group is 6 to 11 years. What are the needs of a child 6 to 11 years? 6 to 11 years is a school age child. You need all the classes of food: the carbohydrate, the protein, the fats and oil, the minerals, the vitamins, and water. Continue food education, age appropriate food education, and encourage healthy food choices. You need to insist. Yes, I've said tolerate their food choices, and you may need to start to negotiate. So a child likes pizza. That does not now mean we will allow pizza every day. What it simply means is if you finish all your meals for 1 week, then we can get pizza on Sunday. Because if you just say, oh, yeah, but the child likes pizza and all the child has is pizza, only pizza on a consistent basis does not form an adequate diet. No matter what is in the pizza, there is always dough, is always no, that's monotonous. At 6 to 11 years, allow the children to assist in food preparation. So we want to make spaghetti and you say, please get the spaghetti, rinse the pot. You are there, oh, not that you are leaving this child unsupervised. Put it in the pot. You want to make eba, you're saying fill the kettle with water, you put on the gas, you put it there, and you tell the child, okay, when it's boiled, come see what I'm doing, get me the gari, we're cooking vegetables, help me debone the fish, the stock, the smoked fish we're using, we're putting this vegetable, do you know the name of this vegetable, do you know why it's like this, pass the palm oil. When they get involved in the food preparation, they are more likely to want to eat the food. 6 to 11 years is important because it's a precursor to a growth spurt. We have two major growth spurts in our lives as we grow as children. The first one is in the first year of life. The second one is adolescence. So we're going to the adolescent stage next. 12 to 18 years, what is required? All the classes of food is a major growth spurt. We need to continue food education. We need to involve the children in the preparation of meals. From 12 to 18 years, it is expected that they should be able to start to prepare small meals by themselves. And food education includes what constitutes an adequate diet, the different classes of food in practical terms, which we will talk about very briefly. Allow food choices and preferences. Give some autonomy. It can't be mommy says we are eating this. There can be a food timetable. But it's even very interesting. Tell the children to draft out the food timetable and then you tell them why this food in this manner is a little excessive. For those who like rice a lot, who will want to eat white rice and stew in the morning and eat jollof rice in the afternoon and eat fried rice at night, and we tell them even though the way you put it is adequate, you say we should put a little vegetable on the side by having it with fish, but we can't all eat rice every time. Because even for a child that likes rice, if you keep giving only what that child likes, the ability or the interest in eating the food, the desire to eat the food will drop. No matter how much you like a particular type of food, if you eat it breakfast, lunch and dinner for 1 week, by the second week you'll be tired of it, and then you may keep eating it, but the quantity you will eat will begin to drop. It is important to note there is not enough to have adequate diet, it must also be adequate in amount. If you think of a marasmus is said to occur when both the nutritional value and the caloric content of the food is not adequate. So for a person who should be eating 4 spoons, the person is eating 1 spoon. So even if you are given an adequate diet and the person that should be eating 4 spoons is eating 1 spoon, it will not be adequate. Okay, so by and large, most schools of thought say that childhood ends at 18 years. So we believe that all things being equal, by 18 years, the child should be able to cook, should understand good food choices, should have been making them since at about 6. Okay, things to note. Give a wide range of food choices. Variety is the spice of life. And I'm going to use my mom as an example. My mom is a Yoruba woman, but I grew up in my house eating ogbono soup, not akpon. Akpon is the same seed, but you just make it bland. My mom will make ogbono soup like an Igbo person. Why? She will have conversations with people, different places at work, and then they will say, there's this soup. My mom will make it. When my elder sister went to school in the east, she came home making ofe nsala. My mom was not opposed to it. It became a regular meal in my house. They will make ofe nsala. They will make edika. My mom even used to make edika on it. But that is not a traditional Yoruba meal. So look outside your comfort zone. Look outside your tribe and speak to your friends. Now you don't even need to speak to your friends. Go to YouTube. Look for how to make. You'll see it there. They list the ingredients. They even show you how. Try it out. Not a big pot, a small pot. Try it out. Follow the video, try it out, because variety is the spice of life. A person may not be interested in eating black amala, but the person may eat white. The person may not be interested in eating white, but the person may eat tuwo. And tuwo does not mean you are cooking the rice from scratch. You get grounded rice and put a little cassava. A person may not be interested in eating that, but the person may be open to pounded yam. So if you just need to keep trying, because like I said, if food is monotonous, the desire to eat it drops. Even happens in my house when I cook rice every morning and they take rice and stew every day. After a while, they stop eating the rice and stew, and then my husband says, we'll give them something else. If you make rice this morning, they won't eat it. Appropriate food education is essential. When the knowledge of something is not known, abuse is inevitable. Food should be tasty, but it should also be balanced. It should be nutritious. So when children understand that, oh, you prefer the food in this eatery, but the spices in it are too much, it is overcooked, you will not get appropriate nutrients. What you are going to be eating is like shaft. They may eat it once in a while, but they will understand that even when they leave home, which is expected at about 18 or a little earlier or later, they will still make good food choices. Individualized nutrition. That child A likes to eat yam and potato and whatever you put in front of them does not mean that child B is going to be exactly the same way. You need to understand that each person's personality is different. They will respond differently. And as parents, sometimes if we just listen to these children, you get a hang of what they would like to eat, and then you can ensure that that thing is an adequate diet. And then we're going to talk about the colors of the rainbow. I love the colors of the rainbow because they remind me of my secondary school physics. I'm a pediatric nurse up onto my bone. I still watch cartoons when I can. I don't know if anybody here watches Rainbow Ruby, but there's a song she sings. I'm not going to sing it so that you do not think I'm in the pediatric population, but you can think so. I'm in the pediatric population. I'm their nurse and we're together in this pediatric thing. But if you remember secondary school physics and talking about light, yeah, and refraction and reflection of light, all colors come from what we call white light. So it's important that when you're trying to prepare a meal, you consider all the colors. What are the colors when light separates? Red, the mnemonic is Roy GB. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. So it's something to attain to. We want to prepare a meal and we want to have all the classes, all the colors of the rainbow. So I'm going to pick two staples. I just thought of the staples of my mind. You can work on any staple together and try to prepare colors of the rainbow. So let's pick rice. Rice is very common. Rice can be white. Yeah, so Part of the main color of the rainbow is white, so that's acceptable. So in if it's rice and stew, red. What is red? The tomatoes, the rodo, and the tatashe, they are red. What is orange? Let's group the red and orange together in this category. Red, orange, yellow. Yellow and red. Some peppers are yellow. So you could, in blending your peppers, mix a little red, yellow pepper. But it's also important to note that all these things with colors. Give me a minute, please. Can someone put that fan off? It's distracting me. Thank you. All these colors, fruits and veggies with colors have more value, more nutritional value than those that are bland. So red, orange, yellow, green. You could decide to make vegetable and put it by the side of the rice. You could decide to put green peas to garnish the vegetables. Red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. Water is blue, so a cup of water. Red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. Indigo. We're going to pick indigo and violet together in this context. Onions. Onions have indigo and violet. So that diet is yellow. And if we say fat is yellow, we're going to be thinking of animal protein, which could be meat, fish, chicken, to try to make okay, some make the diet adequate. You could decide that okay, we that I want to make you just eat.
Hello, Nazami. I think
Use
you
palm oil
are
is also red. You think what?
you were breaking down
Hello?
like this. I think due to the network.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. So it's just trying to emphasize the colors of the rainbow by and large. As a wrap up, adequate nutrition is important. The needs of every stage are important. It's important to pay attention to the needs of the child, listen to the child, but have an adequate, balanced view of nutrition. It's not just what the child wants, but it is not right to not give the child what the child doesn't want at all. My child likes ice cream. We all know that ice cream is made of eggs and processed and milk processed. It does not have the same nutritional value as taking milk on its own and taking eggs on its own. So you may allow those once in a while as a negotiation tool, but that cannot be a staple. I gave my child gala. Gala has meat in it. When last did you look into the gala? Is it really meat or just spices? So we need to be sure of what we're getting, what we're giving, and the nutritional value of those things. Like I've said, at the early stages where the children seem to eat very little, the way to compensate is to give more meals, frequent meals. Don't expect the child to sit down and eat a big bowl of rice or swallow. You need to allow them eat frequent meals. And that we said feed a child does not mean all meals a day they feed themselves, especially between 1 to 3 years. Some of the meals let them feed themselves because it's fun, because they want to do things themselves, because they are at a stage where they are trying to have autonomy of their own actions. But it's also important to sometimes feed them, sing along with them, but also allow them to sometimes feed themselves. Allowing children prepare the family meals with available diet. What is possible that will give as much nutrients? I'm not saying that we should always go and look for chicken or always look for meat. Plant proteins are important, but there are other things that we can also give that compensate. If you live in a very
And there's nothing wrong in having a game and saying, let's go and see who can pick the most snails. The snails may be very small, but they will still be appropriate in the first place. I think by and large, come to the end of the show. For me, damn, will be fine. I'll be fine too. So thank you, Joy.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for the talk. It was beautiful. It was amazing, and it's just phenomenal, and how important it is that children's diet. You cannot really say enough about children's diet. You can't really say enough. We just have to keep reinforcing until we finally get it right. And I really liked it when you were talking about, the soya. Because when I was working in Mercy Children Hospital, the mothers, they like soya, and they like corn. So they just blend it, and they are giving their 6 month old corn. And you know is the GIT, the digestive system of this child, adequately enough to even digest this food? And they don't listen, be saying that this is what they have. Okay, we'll be going into questions right now. Let me start with the previous question that was asked in the group chat in the last time I was able to take a picture. I also have a question myself. And for this particular question, Nozdami has answered it already, but for the fact that he asked it, I would really appreciate it if you can reiterate the point you made. And let me read the question out. It says that by Oladipo Kausara. She said, please, if one breastfeeds a child from birth till 3 years, won't the mother's breast milk run dry? I know during the presentation, I know you mentioned it, Nozdami. I just want you to, touch on that again as you answer this question.
Okay, the question, if I get you correctly, you're asking that if a mother breastfeeds the child from birth to 3 years, won't her breast milk run dry? It is worthy to note that there's no tank anywhere in your body that produces breast milk and supplies it to the breast. So there's nothing running dry. I didn't want to go too technical because I also believe that speaking to a valid hormones that are associated with breast milk and breastfeeding. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. The first one is prolactin. Prolactin is associated with breast milk production. So what happens is the brain has two portions that produce hormones. The pituitary gland, the anterior pituitary gland, and the posterior pituitary gland. The posterior pituitary gland produces prolactin, and prolactin helps the body to produce breast milk. But prolactin is a weak hormone. That's why if a woman is breastfeeding and she's unhappy, or she's stressed, or she's anxious, adrenaline will take over. And adrenaline is a stronger hormone, so prolactin just takes a back end. So if a woman breastfeeds for up to 3 years, her breast milk is not going to run dry. Once she keeps putting the baby to breast, which is equivalent or which is equal to making a demand for breast milk, the brain will just keep saying, oh yeah, produce breast milk. Every time the breast will keep producing breast milk. It will not run dry because it's getting its nutrients from her blood supply. The only time in which a woman will be unable to produce breast milk is if she has not eaten, like she has extreme starvation that has lasted for 3 months. At that point, no matter how you now make a demand, she will not be able to produce. But if she's eating and drinking water, she will keep producing breast milk. It will not run dry because it's not as if there's a store somewhere. It's not like the eggs in the body that there's a store that is giving out from. No. If a woman likes, let her get pregnant at 18. We know that that's not the ideal age for pregnancy, but if she gets pregnant at 18 and she starts breastfeeding she can breastfeed till 50 if she likes. If she keeps having, maybe as she finish breastfeeding her baby, one cousin's baby, the cousin is not available, she becomes a wet nanny for the baby, she starts breastfeeding that one, she will keep flowing. It's just food and water she will be eating and drinking. So the breast is not going to get dry. No, that's not how breast milk works. Breast milk supply is dependent on consistent demand. I don't know if I've answered that.
Yes, you have. Thank you so much for that answer. Just in a minute, I'm going to turn on my camera, but for now, I just want to add a bit of context to what Nurse Damnola have said. It's actually true, based on the negative feedback loop, that the body actually undergoes, and it is the body is so interesting, right? Because there have been cases where even without conception, some people just start lactating naturally, and they often get jobs as breastfeeding mothers, and even without lactating, without having without conception, without getting pregnant, they actually just start lactating. As long as there's a constant supply of that hormone that she mentioned, prolactin, there will definitely be lactation. And like she said, it can continue to occur. And I really, really appreciate that you actually said that, Ms. Dami. I mean, hearing that from an expert is just what we need. I also have a question for you. My question is, especially for, you mentioned winning around 6 months to a year. Please, I'd like you to, talk more about how well does winning play a role in allergy prevention of children, because it is something that we don't really, we are in Nigeria and they call us developing countries, and then they say things like allergy does not exist, it does not exist. Please, I'd like you to explain to us how well does winning play a role in allergy prevention, especially in regards to exposing children to much to the foods available. Yes, thank you.
Okay, first of all, it's important to establish that research has shown that exclusively breastfed babies have a reduced risk of developing allergies. That does not say that an exclusively breastfed baby may not develop any allergy, because allergies are inherited, but not everybody manifests them. Some specialists have even tended to believe that is cross inherited. So if a father has so many allergies, his daughters are more likely to pick them than his sons. If a mother has so many allergies, the sons are more likely to pick them up than the daughters. But be that as it may, a person can get allergies from either parent. But babies that have been exclusively breastfed are least likely to develop allergies. The reason why allergies and weaning diets may come up is because you are introducing different kinds of food. And that's why I said introduce one food type at a time, so that if there's an allergy, you know exactly what the person is reacting to. And that's why it's not healthy to say I'm doing pap, I put soya, I put crayfish, I put groundnut, I put, what else do they put, milk, everything together at once. If that child has an allergic reaction to it, which may start off as just a little rash, you don't know, what was it, groundnut the child reacted to, or it was the soya, or it was the corn, or it was the milk. You're not really sure. But by the time you first of all start giving just the corn, which is the pap, and milk, if there's a reaction, you will know it's either the corn or the pap. What do? Try the milk again. Only milk this time. If you still have that reaction, then you're now wondering, is this child lactose intolerance? Is it this brand of milk? Buy a different brand. Try it again. You have the same reaction. You know milk is the problem, not the corn. You try the corn and groundnut, there is no allergic reaction. Okay, this child neither reacts to corn nor groundnut. You try the corn, that's the pap, and crayfish, there's an allergic reaction. You say we did corn, pap, and groundnuts, there was nothing. Now we're doing pap and crayfish, there's something. So maybe the crayfish the child is reacting to. But you have one reaction does not mean you stop it. You saw one rash. It could be a coincidence. Did you change the soap at the time? Did you change the cream? Did you go where you don't normally go? Did you go picnicking? Was there something else the child is exposed to? Is it just the food? Try it again the second time. You try it again the second time, you have the same response. That particular food item, take it off the menu. It means that that child is reacting to it. Take it off the menu for that time. It doesn't mean that at a later age, maybe when that child is 3 to 5, you can't introduce it again. Let's just see. But that's later age that you want to introduce it. Wisdom is profitable to direct. Introduce it in a very little amount. So that's like your last chance opportunity for that particular food item. But more allergies show up during weaning because they're trying to introduce different things that the child has not been exposed to before then. But like I'll say again, it is hyper important, very important to exclusively breastfeed a child. Because if you exclusively breastfeed a child and the child still manifests some form of allergies, it means that there will be far more allergies if that child was not breastfed at all. So it is important to exclusively breastfeed and to look out for those allergies during weaning. So it's not as though weaning per se causes allergies. It's because that's when there's exposure. That's the trial and error stage. You're trying to try this child and introduce the child to homemade meals. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that answer. And yeah, this is where the appreciation for your expertise come in, because in the even despite being a health professional, I thought that allergies due to not being exposed to food early enough, and you see things online saying that introduce your children to this, to that, to allow them to prevent development of allergy from those food, because there's the preconception, right, that if they don't have that food, if they were not introduced to that food or that item, right, while they're young, they are more likely to develop allergy. And then I then beg a question that allergies are often also developed randomly, even in later stages in life as an adult. Something that they were not allergic to prior, then they all of a sudden start developing allergy. So I have always often had that dichotomy about this allergy situation. So I really appreciate that you mentioned that breastfeeding is actually very important. As you mentioned, it has prebiotic, it has postbiotic bacteria. So developing the gut will also aid in digestion. So I believe I asked for questions in the chat, and I'm looking down there. There are no questions. So I believe that this should be a perfect, time to, let Damilola go. This is, it's, let's just say, it's so amazing to have you on here. And if you want for those of us who were unable to join earlier on, if you want to start from the beginning, I'm very sure you missed a lot. So we are going to be uploading that onto our YouTube channel. You will definitely catch the entire meeting on Google. So can we celebrate Madame Lola, please? Let us celebrate her in the chat. We need to send in our emojis, because I used to say that people get their information from TikTok, but we have an expert, the developer of the research, the developer of the content that we actually get our information in healthcare is present in our midst. So there's no way she will give us, information that is not accurate, because that's our specialization. So thank you so much, Damiola. I really, really appreciate you. Hopefully, I can drag you back here once again, because there is no way we can talk about children. There are so many aspects to touch. So hopefully, you'll be able to honor our invitation in our subcoming webinars. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you. So to just round off this meeting, um, I just want to talk about RAF. Like I mentioned, RAF, we are so passionate about maternal and child health. In the beginning, I said that towards the end, we are going to talk about what exactly do we do, because this webinar is not the first, it's not going to be the last. We are definitely going to be having more. And aside that, we have other programs that we are running, that we've been running, and we are also going to continue this year, 2025. The first ever is our Edu Eat program. Brilliant program. In this program, what we do is that we actually collaborate with a school, and the school we collaborate with this year, we actually sponsor the feeding of children for an entire semester. And in the beginning, I mentioned that RAF is very, very important. It plays important on the fact that children that actually eat, that have diets, they have something to eat, they are satisfied, get to stay in school longer because they are not worried about food, they're not worried about hunger, and they get to be satisfied, they get to stay in school longer. So we really value children feeding, we value children education. Our Empower Earn is also another program where we also empower mothers. We teach them business literacy, financial literacy, so that they'll be able to sustain you know having adequate diet in their families. We are not the kind of people that will come, will snap picture and then we'll go. Maybe that's why we are still looking for pictures, and we are being now conscious, of having our social media presence. We value sustainability more than that, but at least we try to let our social media presence reach up to our sustainability model. And as a result of that, we've been successful with some families, peculiar families, and we've been able to help them maintain that provision to their families to ensure that their children get to eat. Another of our program is our Raise and Reform TV, which is what we are doing, our webinars, our monthly webinars. We have our meeting, we talk about a particular issue, we post it on YouTube, people get to see it and they get to learn and share. Like we mentioned, RAF Mother and Child Health, amazing thing. And then one thing I'm really proud of in Raise and Reform Foundation is our juvenile correctional impact program. We actually have been able to impact some children in the juvenile correctional center. Given that they are in this institution, they can feel you know they can feel giving up in life, that they feel bad, they don't feel themselves moving forward. However, we've been able to teach them instruments, we're able to teach them to sing violin. We have musical experts who have been able to actually teach these children music. And we also hold mini, I like to call it a mini experience Christian concerts for them, introduce them to Christ. And so far we've gotten feedback from them. They're really happy. Getting them to be able to do something, to develop a skill, right, brings satisfaction to their lives, which is what we are very proud of. And as a result of that, if you want to actually support us in what we do, you can follow us on our social media platforms. You can donate to our account number, which is on this flyer right here. And you can also, or if you don't want to do monetary donation, you can also contact us via email or IG. You can follow this link on the slide or visit us on Instagram. The link tree is there on how to actually contact us. So with that, we've already come to
High volume. High volume. High volume. Am I really there?